There's so much important information to get out there, and we really appreciate you sharing this today. Mr. Naik.
Thank you, Chair Harsler, Vice Chair Mahmood, and distinguished commissioners. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. The persecution of Muslims and Christians in India bears the sanction of the country's top political leadership, led by Prime Minister Modi, and is implemented through both the state and the militant networks of the Hindu nationalist movement anchored by the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the RSS. This persecution is now embedded in bureaucracy, codified in law, shielded by absolute impunity, and steadily more ruthless in execution. State-led violence and dispossession against Muslims have reached an unprecedented scale. In northeastern Assam state alone, where over the last 5 years, the BJP state government has demolished more than 22,000 structures and displaced nearly 100,000 people, mostly Bengali origin Muslims, falsely labeled as, quote, Bangladeshi infiltrators. And 40% of those displaced lost their homes in 2025 alone. And there are documented cases of Muslims being forcibly taken to the Bangladesh border and forcibly thrown right across, sometimes gagged and at gunpoint. Outside Assam, the punitive bulldozer demolitions targeting Muslim homes continue across BJP-ruled states despite a 2024 Supreme Court order prohibiting them. The machinery used in these illegal demolitions is supplied by the British company JCB, Caterpillar of the US, Case, Tata Hitachi, Mahindra, and Hyundai. Violence tied to beef consumption and cattle transport has escalated as well. Organized cow vigilante groups now operate in almost 17 states. We have also recorded a sharp rise in public events where swords and knives are distributed, and in events where Hindu nationalist recruits receive firearm trainings. Christian communities face assaults on pastors and worshippers, the forcible closure of churches, denial of burial rights, and arrests on fabricated conversion charges. The hate speech ecosystem driving this violence is also witnessing a very sharp rise. Our 2025 report documented 1,318 in-person hate speech events targeting Muslims and Christians in 21 Indian states, which is a shocking 4 hate speeches per day and a 97% increase over 2023. And 88% of these events occurred in jurisdictions governed by Modi's party. And these events featured explicit calls for violence, for social and economic boycotts, and dehumanizing language describing minorities as termites, pests, and snakes and pigs. And US-based social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X serve as a central infrastructure for spreading this hate and bigotry and incitement to violence. Of the in-person hate speech events we documented in 2025, videos from nearly 97% were first shared or live streamed on social media platforms. And half of India's 28 states today have passed anti-conversion laws weaponized to incarcerate Muslims and Christians. And many activists and journalists, some including my friends, languish behind the bars under the anti-terror laws like UAPA. The regime has also revoked the foreign funding licenses of nearly 22,000 nonprofit organizations under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. And the Special Intensive Revision, or the SIR, of electoral rolls is now being deployed to disenfranchise minority voters. As my co-panelist, Dr. Chatterjee, just mentioned, more than 9 million voters were excluded before last month's state elections in West Bengal. SIR now forms a triad with the Citizenship Amendment Act and the National Register of Citizens, enabling widespread disenfranchisement of Indian Muslims. India has also become one of the leading source countries of transnational repression and transnational disinformation campaigns targeting critics, journalists, academics, and the Sikh and the Kashmiri diaspora. Just 6 weeks ago, Indian government sent a letter to X or Twitter demanding my GPS location data. This is the length to which the state I'm testifying today is willing to go to silence its critics abroad. I urge the US government to act on following 4 recommendations. First, impose targeted global Magnitsky sanctions on Indian officials driving this persecution, including Chief Ministers Himanta Biswa Sarma, Yogi Adityanath, Pushkar Singh Dhami, and other senior BJP leaders, and on the RSS, the Bajrang Dal, and the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. Second, designate India as a country of particular concern and also a source country for transnational repression, and establish specialized TNR task force at FBI field offices nationwide to prosecute such crimes and cases. Third, USCIRF should examine the role of private companies whose machinery has been used in the destruction of minority properties, hold them accountable, and ensure they adopt binding human rights safeguards. And fourth, USCIRF should convene a public hearing with executives of US-based social media companies on the systemic risks their platform pose as driver of incitement and violence against religious minorities in India. I thank the Commission for its sustained attention to these issues.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for your very lengthy testimony that you submit as well, that we can put on the website, but thank you so much.